Hello. Welcome to this late night stream. I took a shower, so I felt like, just streaming. I'm going to be playing, well, if you saw my thumbnail in my Instagram post, you might have seen a little image of a house. That's because we're going to be playing through Remains of Edith Finch. I will start off by saying I have played this game before, and I have seen multiple people play this game, but I figured I'd walk you through it to kind of share my opinions. And if you just give me a second, I'll get the game uploaded. Not uploaded, it's already uploaded. I'll get the game loaded. Okay, let me know if this is too loud for you guys. Because it's pretty loud for me. Where the heck did my mouse go? Wow. Okay, so we are on the boat right now. Presumably heading to Orcas Island at this point. I know that we play as Edith's, I guess, son. Okay, and there's Edith Finch's diary.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you. And I'm sorry about that. I just from the beginning with the house.
Maybe turn the sound effects down a bit, so because I really want you to hear the dialogue, because I think that's important. Alright. Here we have the family tree, which we will learn about all of these people, because I want to try to get through this 100%. Alright, back to the game. Okay. So what I learned about this game is always keep your eye out for any white dots, because they are just little tidbits of information. Just kind of.
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it.
Yeah, what? I'm surprised no one got hurt hopping that chain link fence.
My brother Milton disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
Milton Finch. Oops, got too close. Orcas Island, Washington. That was a year and... I'm not gonna say anything. That's about a year after I was born. I don't know why they put his weight. Yeah, so this is one of Edith's brothers. When he went missing, her other brother we will find out about later. So if we keep walking, this is our only speed, so bear with me on this.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half of the rooms.
So you can see up there. I don't know if I can zoom in per se. No, I can. That's the top of the house. You'll see why it's a little... Yeah, as a construction major, this would not be OSHA certified. This would not be a safe home. Yep.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Mm. And apparently a lot of newspapers that are unopened. Well, it's an island. How much can go on an island? I say that as I vacation on Hawaii. Sorry. Yeah, so Lewis is her other brother. Edith has two brothers, Milton and Lewis. Yeah, first time going through this, I haven't seen any cameras. It's kind of nice walking here.
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Okay, so here we come to a fork in the road. You can go either way if you want. Either way will lead you closer to the house. It doesn't matter. I think it's worth going down both routes. Let's go down here first. Yeah, so this is, I guess if you want more of a scenic walk through the forest.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
I didn't know how
My family that only the house made answers to.
I didn't know how exploratory going through the woods would be. Don't do like a bog? No. Oh, whatever it is, it's wet, and I don't like that. Yeah, so this is a more like scenic route through, like, to get to the house, if you like the scenic route.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something, but never do.
Yeah, but I can't imagine there'd be more than, like, animals here, like the typical bugs, or maybe even deer. I had a forest near my house where I was growing up. There's always a deer somewhere in there. Sometimes they'd be bold enough to come on our lawn. So this, if you want to be a little more exploratory and kind of just take your time with this game. If you want to just go quicker, just trying to get down to the house, this you'd probably just take the wood stone path. What am I saying? This is more like a direct route, like if you were driving in a car, maybe.
I haven't driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few footprints.
Honestly, not seeing the footprints. Oh, and there's a little deer there. There's Bambi. Nope. Tried to be sneaky, it didn't work. This is a quicker path to the house if you just want to get on with the game.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
It was quite the spectacle. I can't talk. Looks like someone tried to build a slide. And I guess it fell apart after a few years.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
Yeah, if I'm honest, if I knew my house looks like this, I wouldn't be exactly thrilled to come back to it every day. Not that I'm saying it's ugly, it's just... it can be a little daunting.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly those words were. I was afraid of the house.
That better? So we got the front door here.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Oh well.
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
And it looks like they had a lot of books. I feel like it would be a very, I don't know how to explain it, but it would be experience coming back to a house you grew up in after being gone for so long. Alright, and this is our only point of access, the doggy door.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
I bet. That's the garage. I suppose they left the car there.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
I can't imagine anyone's paying the electric bill.
For the first time in years,
2010. Man, 14 years have passed since that. Man, 14 years. 14 years. That makes you think.
I felt like I was home.
No place like home.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
So there's Edith in the middle. Edie, who is the matriarch mother, I guess, grandmother, she's great grandmother to Edith and Lewis, and I guess Milton was missing at this point. Dawn is Edith's mother and Edie's daughter. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of sad thinking that your family has its own cemetery, like, right by your house.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Fair enough. Chinese food is pretty good. Although I usually only order, like, chicken and broccoli.
Or how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Makes sense. I actually did a cruise in Alaska. I caught like a 12-pound, I think, sockeye salmon. I learned there was like a finger trick to learn like the 5 main types of salmon. I think the pointer finger was a sockeye. Middle finger was like a king salmon because it's the biggest finger. And honestly, pinky finger's like pinky salmon or is pink eye salmon or something. One sec, I should run to a text. Hey, sorry about that. On with the game.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
And kind of amazing how all of this was like kind of preserved. Yeah, there you go. So Edith's 1999. They left presumably They left around 2010. I'm presuming. I think she's 17 now, so it's about 7 years since she left the house. Yeah, for 7 years of being essentially abandoned, it's pretty well preserved.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
It looks well preserved, but I can't imagine how it would smell in there. Especially since this looks like just eating Chinese food.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it. like a smile with too many teeth. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Weird way to describe how to lose a house, but okay. I can tell you these kids were definitely not illiterate, considering all the reading they had. Actually had their own library. Or these could just be a bunch of photo albums, what do I know? Seems like a big family.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
So he built this thing. Pretty cool.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Don't be afraid to let me know if there's something wrong with the volume.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
That's nice.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
Yeah, I'd say a lot got left behind. So these doors were sealed off. It looks like spray-on insulation.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
So when I saw other people playing this, they made the assumption that the bodies were buried somewhere under the library. My initial assumption was information about everyone is buried somewhere in that library. So take it as you see it. Right, I think I've explored everything I could down here. Let's move on upstairs.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Oh, that's nice. So, someone fell down this banister. Alright, someone fell off this, I don't know, what do you call it, a balcony? I don't know. So this is Edie and Sven's room. When I first played this, I didn't realize that Edie's door wasn't essentially sealed off because she was still living in this room, even though her husband died. So Sven and Edie. She lived to be...
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Nice room. About 93 years. Sven died at... I'm not good at math, let me get a calculator. '49. So pretty big age gap between the deaths. Okay. This is Calvin and Sam's room. Only Calvin is there. He only lived to be 11. That's sad.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
can't imagine how that feels, just sleeping on one side of the room, just staring at an empty bed, knowing a person once lived there. Gregory, he was just a little baby. Barely made it past one.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
But imagine if you're going to the bathroom and someone just looks in here. But yeah, who would go in this bathroom? What is this? Decorations too pink. Let's go. Let's.
Edie's father, Odin, built the original house.
So Odin is the ancestral patriarch of the family. Barbara, looks like she died around her teenage years.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
Hard to believe. Honestly, I don't. Actually, no, it's not hard to believe. It's Hollywood.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Considering she was famous for 2 years, and this girl's friends who are are roughly 40 years past her, know her, and ask Edith about them, shows how preserved her fame is.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Better check out the 3rd floor, which looks locked.
Mom must have locked the 3rd floor stairs on the night we left.
I think we can finally move on with this story.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
It's weird you have a painting of the drowned house in a kid's bedroom.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Oh, this is a nice space. Oh, so Walter and Molly can get to each other if they need to. They can meet in private. That's cool.
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
Nice cat.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan, but I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
I guess you can't go back that way. So this is Molly's room. Looks like she was kind of into animals.
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
That's nice. I guess I've never owned a gerbil or a hamster or anything like that. Well, you had quite the view, though. Okay, time to get into the first story.
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Yeah, I think that's just bad parenting. Even if you're mad at a child, I don't think you should send them to bed without food. And if you do, make sure they get something to eat before they go to bed, or like a story like Molly's could happen.
My Halloween candy was all gone. Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
This wasn't really a good idea to have a door that locks on the outside to trap your child in. I also think that was a poor architecture and construction choice on Sven's part, but who knows, he could have made him do it.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
That did not sound like a crunchy. I mean, it sounded crunchy, but did not sound like what I presume was a carrot. And fun fact, my first pet was actually a goldfish. I won him at a carnival. I named him Gilly. He lasted a good, 2 or 3 years. We're not eating this fish.
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Good. Well, she had her own bathroom.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Now, I don't know if those berries were real or not. Either way, those are holly berries. I know they're toxic for you, but even if you eat plastic ones, I don't think that's good for you either. This
I kept eating and eating.
It really makes you think about getting flavored toothpaste for kids, because the toothpaste you're not supposed to digest, but if you get toothpaste in a flavor that they like, they're more bound to eat the toothpaste.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest.
Okay, and here's where the story gets a little bit weird.
I reached out for her.
Also, why is there a chain, for the window?
And
I
suddenly,
guess so she doesn't escape, but then this happens.
I was a cat.
Yeah, I feel like this is where her hallucination starts, after she ate all those things.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Yeah. Of course, I'd be agile as all heck.
I jumped and I almost got her.
And he got frustrated. Come on. Come on, you can jump higher than that. Jump.
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
Ooh, that's concerning.
I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit.
That's nice.
Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit.
Yeah, it's like a mama rabbit is bigger than a regular rabbit.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating.
That's like for a 10-year-old, it's a very
Suddenly,
morbid description.
I was a shark.
What? It is very random. Ow. Come on. Come on. There we go.
I rolled off the cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
Oh yeah, that's not concerning at all.
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Like sewage? Does sewage smell good? I doubt it. Oh, we're in the bathroom. Oh, this is trippy. Okay, where am I going? Going this way. Up to her bed, up to her bed.
I got closer and closer. All my stomach started growling,
How many stomachs did you think it had?
and suddenly I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
Oh, that's not traumatizing at all.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
And there's our first family member, Edith Finch. Move on. I just saw a cat.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Interesting.
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
She had a lot of birds. I can't catch the names. Herpy? Oh. Sorry. I think it's just Herpy or Burpy, I can't tell. Bob. Nice. Is that a snake? Huh. Can't see the name is covered up. That's Derpy. I'm spelling with a U though. That one is Zerpy. Something Erpy. I can't see that. Purply. Yeah, I guess she'll just look a bit purple with a purple belly. Lurpy. Nice. And finally we got Rob, who was either a frog or a snake. I can't tell from the picture here. I don't know if I can crouch.
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum.
Oh, it's the handprints of everyone. That's cute.
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
Kind of sounds like the Baudelaires from Series of Unfortunate Events. Great series on Netflix, by the way. If you want to go check it out, Neil Patrick Harris does a great job playing Count Olaf. Nope. What do we... That again?
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johann.
Ooh, that sucks.
On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Dang. That's like Carl Fredrickson. He just tied to a bunch of balloons to his house to escape everything.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
Oof. I can't imagine. If it's off the coast of Washington, I can't imagine how far it would be that the sea would be such an interference. But then again, it's right by the Bering Strait, and we know how. Well, you probably don't know. I probably don't know, but I know that's pretty rough sea. Because back when it was like Native American times, and there was like a period of migration. Native Americans traveled from Asia to North America using a kind of a land bridge across the Bering Strait. But the Bering Strait, obviously, erosion and weathering kind of took it out.
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery.
Kind of odd to have a cemetery built before a house.
His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
It looks like a double hospital bed.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
Cool.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Yeah, so that was the dragon slide we saw outside the front of the house. If you don't remember.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Always young at heart. Oh yay, we get to go here.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Yeah. Guess she was really into Barbie. There's a secret in this bathroom by Sven and Edith Finch.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Ooh. Oh, it's like a photography bedroom.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
And he had quite the room to process the photos. Alright, now we made it to Sam and Calvin's room. So Sam was more of the military person, Calvin was more of a spaceman.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
That's one in the family.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
So it looks like we're swinging. Forward. Yeah. Okay, just sway with motion.
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
So he died in 1961. Barbara died in 19...
Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
Anyway, Calvin died in 1961. Barbara died in 1960. They died a year after Barbara died.
I told him going around was impossible.
He's trying to go...
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Yeah, because I feel like if you say... If you say, like, you can't do something to a kid, that only strengthens their resolve to do it.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up,
Yeah.
then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it.
I think we all have that dream of trying to go and
I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
What's there?
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
So presumably, he kind of shot himself into see where Odin was.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
I guess that's one way to preserve it. You know, it felt like he was looking at a museum display.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
And would you want to sit in a room where you know someone died? Yeah, I gotta say, they were pretty ingenious with these, like, puzzles and handlebars.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Yeah. Let me see. So that's a way to get back out here. That's good to know. Well, I can't go through Walter. I guess you have to go all around the house then. I can't even open that anymore. Back in here we go. To Barbara's room.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch.
Oh, suspense there.
As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up, a has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
What do you mean, like, right on cue?
She reached for the music box.
Okay, I think this is where we take over, I guess.
and as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Okay. I'm probably gonna have to mute. Hang on. Might have to down the music for this part because I think it's like copyright music. I know it's from like a Halloween movie, maybe the movie Halloween, but I don't think it can.
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
Yay, I got something to hit with. Up. Yep. Fake blood or...
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
No, that'd be real blood, because that beats Ben, because he tripped on the table saw. That is creepy as all hell. I'm sorry. Stuck in a maze.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear, Jesus.
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out.
He sounds more like a director than a boyfriend.
To remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
She's going upstairs. Pretty cool if we can go through the doors that aren't sealed off. And these are just before the doors are painted too. Yeah, you can't go there.
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
What the?
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless.
How'd he get in the
He
house?
was quite smashing. And here he was. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
Ugh, creepy. Oh, damn it. Eh, whatever.
That night, she played her part beautifully.
Played her part.
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Trying to get down as fast as we could. We can move a little faster.
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
Is this not like invasion of privacy? How'd they get in the house?
Trying to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life.
Okay.
I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time.
Dang.
He took it all pretty hard.
I bet.
But that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Oh, ain't that very Van Gogh?
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Alright. Those are the first 3 children done. Alright. On to the next section.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
And I guess why she didn't like her going into the basement. I don't suspect there was like anything wrong with the basement. No, who knows? Now I can put the music on, because I know there's like... Hopefully I avoided the copyright with that.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Oh, dang. What? Oh.
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
Where's the bunker?
If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Is that a microwave? Looks like a microwave. Snake. He lived here? Really? Oh dang, he lived to be old.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped.
Almost 30 years later?
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can. I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day even if it kills me.
So we're on some train tracks.
Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Oh.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Yeah, that's a sad way to go, living as like the mole man for like 30 years and then just getting smushed by a train.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Well, at least he had a outside view.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
Okay. Brown rice. That symbol on the bag, that is the Mandarin symbol, Chinese symbol for rice. That's fan. Well, no, mi. Like, mi fan is like the word for rice. That's the symbol mi.
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2.
And guess what that 2 might indicate?
I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself. And found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Maybe. The island must have really eroded from here the last 7-ish years, at least 10 years.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
We must have spent a long time at our house for it to be nighttime already.
But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
That's what I was saying.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one.
Yeah.
3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Oof. Okay, let's see. Christopher, that's the fish. Shadow, that's a cat. Shotzi, seems like a dog. Bob is a dog. But no, why was it in a bird cage? Oliver, Bunny. She did have a toe. I think that was Rob. Bailey, another dog. On this side. Lucy, dog. Derpy Jr. I didn't see that one. Derpy, Daisy. Don't know what animal she was. Charlie, cat. Burpy, Chirpy, Furpy, Blurpy, Zerpy. Those are the birds. Zoe, Coco, Tucker, Charlie. Oh yeah, it's not Charlie. And those are unnamed.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
It's interesting how their graves have something that represents them, like Molly with the cat, the owl wings, Calvin, spaceman, Sven, carpenter, construction worker, Edie, she had like all the books, that makes sense. Walter, I'm not exactly sure. Could be. I don't know. Barbara starred because she was an actress.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Oh, this is free.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Again, it's pretty well preserved that you can still see the structure even after probably like what, 50 years since it crashed?
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Gregory, Gus. I'm guessing those were Don's brothers. Sam.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
So, Andre, I'm guessing, is her father? Like Dawn's husband?
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Yep, that confirms it. So there is another Finch that exists. This is very precarious. Okay. Good. Guess we're going up to the 3rd floor.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense.
I'm guessing there's some sort of door going up to the 3rd floor. Don't know where that'd be.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Looks like a peephole. But you have to go look at it from the other side.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Alright, so for this section we're controlling
Am I gonna
Sam's
have to shoot
camera.
anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
And for this
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off.
level we have to
I'm over here, Dad.
keep taking pictures until we get the right one.
What?
In this case, a picture of Dawn.
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
This was one of the pictures that probably confused most people because they didn't really know where to shoot. There's like so many things to shoot in a park. Like this little bird, for instance.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely. Hey!
That's a keeper.
Nothing quite like being outside. I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Luckily, the longer you wait, the more they'll give you like context clues on where to shoot. the camera. Like Don
Dad,
shooting a gun.
Just breathe. Let me get behind you.
do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn!
And you can see the blood flying out. Okay, so this is, I think, what most confuses most people. So you have to, the camera is now set on a timer. You have to click, and then you have to run as Sam.
I'm proud of you, Dawn.
All the way up
Always
the
remember
cliff.
that, okay?
Before the timer resets, I guess. If I,
Dad?
there we go.
It's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
silly.
normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about—
Dad! Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Comment down below what you're afraid of. I'm afraid of, like, when you go
After
on like
Sam
a
died,
ride, like the feeling.
My mom
of-
and Edie got really close. They both lost a lot.
I don't like the feeling of like that dropping feeling, like we go on like a roller coaster and there's like a high drop. I don't like that feeling. And I think that means I'm necessarily afraid. But I don't know. It's a happy baby, but that's kind of a creepy picture of a smiling baby. Not gonna lie.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't. about the world he saw. Hey, there's so much I don't understand about Gregory, about everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
So if he didn't get all that, he essentially drowned in the bathtub. Yeah, not much to say about that. Yeah, you have a locker. I mean, I understand why Gus and Dawn had a locker. Another door with a peephole. I know that's the same door going into Sam's room. Obviously it's just sealed, not painted, or like have like a peephole going through it. How Gregory's just be a baby.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I remember.
So Sam tried to remarry. I guess it didn't work out.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power, but all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
I gotta admit, it's cool doing it like this. Well, I don't think this part happened. I know that I think something fell on him. That totem pole fell on him.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
Yeah, like just a male child syndrome.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Yeah, so Gus probably had like, I don't know if he's a third middle child syndrome, but he's definitely a middle child, Gregory being the youngest and Dawn being the oldest. I personally grew up as an only child, and technically have 4 older stepbrothers, but I was still a baby. They treated me as so.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
And imagine having to rock climb back up to your bedroom every night.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
That's funny. As the college I go to, I'm part of the school's Habitat for Humanity, which is a volunteer organization that helps build houses for families. And it's funny connection. Also, that does not look big enough for 2 people.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
Honestly, not that way. Here.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go.
No.
I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
Yes, there's... Oh no, there's one for Milton.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
I'm guessing Edith and
But
her
it didn't
brothers...
last.
Edith and her brothers were all homeschooled. Again, pretty well preserved for being abandoned for 7 years. I mean, this still looks like brand new stuff. Well, no, not brand new. I mean, it's like an old laptop, but it still looks like very clean, kind of modern. I don't know, like upkept.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Really, this is a cool house to live in. Just going back out. I don't know if you
I
noticed.
think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
I don't know if you noticed, but the music changed. It's a little more, like, lighthearted. Maybe a little whimsical. Also, to have your own elevator in your house, that's really cool. Particular art studio.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Flip book within a flip book.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
So that kind of left his ending a bit ambiguous. From what I learned on like a review video of this game is that he possibly became a character in another game by this same game company. I think something Sparrow, Gold. I don't want to get the name wrong. Something Sparrow. It's called. I don't know what the game's called. It's about like an unfinished swan painting, and it's theorized that Milton became one of the characters in that game. So yeah, that's kind of where he ended up.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
So I guess there's you.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
Oh, he lived in a boathouse.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on. Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
And so, here comes like the...
He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself.
So this is like the hardest minigame in my opinion because of like the different controls, because you'll soon find out.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Because you have to...
I asked him to describe
kind of to be multitasking, because if you don't, then the fish are going to take over the game board.
He said he started small.
And yeah.
Imagining a labyrinth.
This is like, you have to really multitask here.
He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names.
Yeah.
He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery.
Yeah, because he get a little complicated. Come on.
I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
Oh, very egotistical.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished.
Kind of see like his imagination taking over the reality, like he's really losing his mind.
He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
See, like
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
See, the sound of the chopping.
New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of his electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
So now, like,
he knew the world was all in his imagination.
Fully taken over, and he doesn't know where that chopping blade is.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
This was probably his locker.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
So this is what we were doing for most of the time, just dragging the fish over and chopping it.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Oh, that's Molly. No, that doesn't look like a happy cat.
His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
That's a guillotine.
Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
I wonder what happens if you go up the other stairs. Oh, you can't go up. Never mind.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
So this looks more like where the parents would sleep.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
Are you real? You're not real.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
She had a nice left.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance.
I don't think that's
or that Edie had a key to it.
I think we could have gone back there because there was more books there. Bit of a fire hazard to have candles nearby
The thing
people
you're
books.
afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your story.
Someone slept in the
I
library.
think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car.
Oh, am I supposed to do something?
I never saw Great Grandma Edie again.
Wait, so then what was the
Next
car in the
morning, my
garage?
mom came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot.
I remember doing that as a
We
kid.
both tried to make the best of it.
I still kind of do that. If it's nice out.
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Giant Sparrow, that's the name of the game company. So, they made another game called The Unfinished Swan, I think? And that's related. They theorized that it's related to Milton, who disappeared through, like, a painting of a door. But yeah, it's a really great story-based game, probably the best story-based game I've come across. Sorry if I appeared a bit, if I sounded a bit unemotional. I was definitely more emotional when I first played this game, but it's hard to be too emotional when you know, like, what happens in a game. At least a game with this much story in it. I really got nothing else to say about this game, but I really enjoy playing it late at night with you guys. I think I will end it here. I don't know if I can, like, skip the credit scene. Okay, I can. Yeah, thank you for joining me in the stream, and I will see you guys next time.